What the heck do you do when your client is wrong? Hey, I'm Erin and I help web designers and developers just like you learn to run their businesses better so that you can be more profitable, save more time, and create a business that you actually enjoy. So if you've been in the service industry for long or a hot second, or if you just have been around the service industry, you've probably heard the saying, the client is always right. And while we know there are lots of the times the client is actually not right, most of the time we just pretend like it's all good. We smile and we figure out how to make it work, even if it's not a good idea at all. Except for those times when the client is wrong. And I mean epic failure on the horizon wrong, where it negatively impacts their business and possibly yours too. Those are the times when you have to convince your clients that they're wrong, because otherwise the project will not succeed. Those are the times when you have to figure out what to say and how to say it in a way that won't end your working relationship. So how the heck do you do that? Well, first, you don't just tell your clients that they're wrong. You're probably not going to get very far by saying, "Hey, you're wrong." In fact, saying it like that could make the project go sideways faster than letting the client have their way. Saying "you're wrong" in any relationship rarely does anything beneficial. Instead, you need to communicate the problems in a way that doesn't strain your relationship. So how do you do that? Before we dive into exactly what to communicate and how to communicate it, there are a couple of things you should consider. First, make sure you're clear on what the client is wrong about. Sometimes your client isn't clear on something and it doesn't make sense to you. In these cases, you can usually work out a solution that not only makes her happy, but also solves her problems. However, for those times when your client knows exactly what she's talking about and is adamant, you may need to take a different approach. Second, evaluate your relationship with your client. How you communicate with your client depends on your relationship with that specific client. Is she a repeat customer that you've dealt with often in the past and with whom you've always been able to communicate with before? Or is she someone you're just beginning to work with and you haven't established that relational trust yet? Focus on the destination, not the journey. Usually when your client is wrong about something, it's not the outcome that's the issue, but the approach to that outcome. The who and the what are fine, and the goal is also fine. It's often the how that is the problem. No client is going to ask you to do something that she thinks is wrong. In her mind, what she's asking for is reasonable and correct. It's the destination, the goal she's trying to achieve, that's important. And so unless the end goal is way out of line and has changed since you quoted the project, you can typically redirect your client on another path that will arrive at the desired goal in a more efficient way than what she thinks you should do. However, you may need to be able to show that the end result will remain the same, even though the path looks different. If the client doesn't trust you and your judgment, she isn't likely to trust you enough to change her mind. You won't be able to convince her that she needs to adjust her perspective. So before telling your client that you believe there's another way to reach the goal that she desires, communicate how you see the goal. Discuss the benefits of achieving it and establish how the results will be measured. This will show that you truly understand where you're going. Your client will see that you understand the final product and vision and will more likely let you have your way. Next, take your client through the journey of what it may look like going on her chosen route. Explain the dangers you envision and how some of the choices she made could derail the project or slow the production. Point out areas of weakness while at the same time showing her what is valid about the approach. If you have the ability to clearly communicate the downsides to a plan while still being positive about the overall project, then your client will feel much more comfortable when you suggest a different approach. Show your clients a better path. At this point, you can lay out your own suggestions, but be prepared to explain how your solution will provide a better end result. Show how her plan has downsides that could be costly and how your solution will avoid those potential pitfalls. If you have past experience with a similar solution, you can use that to your advantage and show how your way was the correct way. If you have developed trust with your client, she will believe your evaluation. She will understand that there is nothing to lose and there's only potential for gain by following your suggestions. So to wrap this up, sometimes when you tell yourself that your client is wrong, you miss out on a lot of what she's asking for. What your client is asking for often has many layers and only some of them are faulty. You don't have to convince your client that she is wrong. Ultimately, what you have to do is convince her that you are right. Once trust is established, your client will be much more likely to allow you to do it your way because she sees that you have the expertise to get the desired result in the best way possible. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.